Today, we're going to be talking about the top 10 Raptors of all time. But first, we're going to go through the honorable mentions. The first honorable mention is Jose Calderon. Jose Calderon was one of the best guards the Raptors have ever had, and even though he didn't achieve much as a Raptor, he was a big fan favorite and loved by teammates and fans alike. The second honorable mention is Alvin Williams, who was another great guard for the Raptors, playing a big role in the Vince Carter-led Raptors team. He also had, before Kawhi Leonard, the clutchest shot in Raptors history in the first round of the 2001 playoffs, hitting a long mid-range shot against the Knicks, basically sending the Raptors to their first ever playoff series win.
By 4 with under a minute remaining.
Think right now, just run your clock, get a nice opportunity here. Just run the clock.
Oh, Williams falls down, recovered by Carter with 3 on the shot clock. Here is Williams, and he hits it, and that they do it.
At number 10 is Jonas Valanciunas. Valanciunas spent 6 years with the Raptors, and over that time, his career stats were 470 games played, 12 points, 8.4 rebounds, 0.7 assists, and 1 block per game, on 56% from the field. He is the Raptors' franchise second all-time leader in total rebounds and third in total blocks. While Jonas did not have a lot of defining moments in Toronto, he played a good amount of time for the Raptors and was the team's most efficient all-time center, helping the team to 5 playoff runs in the 6 years in Toronto. Valanciunas was also traded for Marc Gasol, who played a big role in the 2019 championship for the Raptors. Also, even though the Raptors had traded him that season, he came back to cheer for them in the playoffs. Overall, Valanciunas' time with the Raptors was very meaningful, and even though he didn't have a lot of defining moments, he helped the team achieve a lot of success, earning him the number 10 spot of all-time Raptors. Number 9 on our list is Antonio Davis. Antonio Davis spent 4 years on the Raptors and was a one-time All-Star. His career stats with the Raptors were 310 games played, 13 points, 9 rebounds, 1.7 assists, and 1.3 blocks per game. Antonio Davis might not be remembered by most casual fans, but he was the first star big man to play on the Raptors. He was a great second option for the Vince Carter-led Raptors team and helped them reach 3 playoff appearances in his 4 years with the Raptors. Antonio was the first All-Star for the Raptors other than Vince Carter and was a defensive anchor for all 3 of their playoff runs. Overall, even though he didn't spend a long time in a Raptors jersey, he was a very underrated player for Toronto, and therefore it's the number 9 spot for the all-time Raptors. Number 8 is Fred VanVleet. VanVleet played 6 years in Toronto and was a one-time All-Star. His career averages with the Raptors was 417 games played, 15 points, 3.3 rebounds, 5.3 assists, and 1.3 steals on 37% from 3. Fred went undrafted and would be signed by the Raptors, which was, unbeknownst to them, one of the best signings in Raptors history. Fred was not good to start his career because of a lack of playing time, but in the 2019 playoffs he stepped up. He scored huge points for the Raptors in the last finals game, having 12 points in the fourth quarter alone in a title-winning game. Fred then went on to be the number 2 option for the Raptors for a number of years, and then the 2023 offseason signed the biggest contract ever for an undrafted player. Overall, from being an undrafted player to having the biggest contract by an undrafted player ever is an amazing journey, and I think that his unlikely success and his contributions to the 2019 title points that he is the 8th best Raptors player of all time. At number 7 is Damon Stoudemire. Damon Stoudemire spent 2.5 years on the Raptors and was the Rookie of the Year. His career averages with the Raptors was 200 games played, 19.6 points, 4 rebounds, 8.8 assists, and 1.5 steals per game. Damon Stoudemire didn't spend a long time on the Raptors, but a short time in Toronto meant a lot. He was drafted the first year that the Raptors became an official team, and that year, many players did not want to play for Toronto. Damon was different and accepted playing for the Raptors, and he played very well, earning himself Rookie of the Year. He was the first to give Toronto basketball fans an exposure to the world of basketball and gave them a performance every time in his rookie season with averages of 19 points and 9.3 assists. Without Stoudemire, Raptors basketball would probably be very different, and if he refused to come to Toronto, the Raptors might not have succeeded as an expansion team like the Grizzlies. Overall, Damon's short career with the Raptors influenced so much about Toronto basketball that he gets 7th place in the top 10 Raptors of all time. Number 6 is Chris Bosh. Bosh spent 7 years in the Raptors and was a 6-time All-Star, 1-time All-NBA player, and is in the Hall of Fame. Bosh's career Raptors stats were 509 games played, 20 points, 9.4 rebounds, 2.2 assists, and 1.2 blocks per game on 49% from the field. He is the Raptors' franchise leader in total rebounds, total blocks, rebounds per game, third in total points, and second in field goals made. After Vince Carter left the Raptors, Chris Bosh became the next star. Though with a big lack of good support players, he never could carry the Raptors to a competitive playoff spot and never had significant success in the playoffs, only making 2 playoff appearances in 7 years and going out in the first round both times. Overall, despite a lack of playoff success, Bosh was a dominant player on the Raptors, and with his many franchise records, he secures 6th place in Raptors' best all-time players. Number 5 is Pascal Siakam. Siakam spent 7 years in Toronto and was a 2-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, and a Most Improved Player of the Year. His Raptors' career stats were 471 games played, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and 1.2 blocks per game on 49% from the field. Before 2019, Siakam was a below-average player with averages of 4, 3, and 1 in his rookie year and 7, 4, and 2 in the following year. Siakam then had a huge breakout season in 2019, which earned him the 2019 Most Improved Player of the Year. He was a big part of the Raptors' 2019 success and was the second highest scorer on that championship team behind Kawhi. After 2019, he became the number 1 option for the Raptors for many years and was just traded this year to the Pacers. Overall, I had a really tough time between Siakam and Chris Bosh, but I think Siakam's contributions to the 2019 championship with his development as a Raptor and just his overall team success exceeds Bosh's individual achievements, which puts Siakam in 5th place just below Chris Bosh. Number 4 on the list is Kawhi Leonard, who spent 1 year with Toronto and was a 1-time All-Star. His career stats with Toronto are 60 games, 26 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. Kawhi will forever be known to the Raptors as the man who led them to their only championship in franchise history. For the Raptors, he put on one of the greatest playoff performances of all time, with averages of 31, 9, and 4 while shooting 49% from the field in the playoffs. He came up clutch in many playoff moments, but the most unforgettable moment is the moment in this conference semifinals Game 7 against the great 76ers team, where he hit this incredible buzzer beater to win the game.
You got to be aware of the inbounder here if you're Philly.
It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger? Game! Series!
That shot allowed them to move on to the conference finals, which eventually allowed them to win the chip. Overall, Kawhi will always be loved by Toronto for bringing them their only championship, but because he only played 1 season in Toronto, I put him as the 4th greatest Raptors player of all time. Number 3 is DeMar DeRozan. DeRozan spent 9 years with Toronto and was a 4-time All-Star and 2-time All-NBA player. In Toronto, he averaged 20 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 4 assists with 45% from the field. He is the all-time franchise leader in total points and games played. DeRozan was the key part in many playoff appearances, and if LeBron didn't exist, he would have had many deep playoff runs. The team was constantly at the top of the Eastern Conference with DeRozan as the main guy. He might not have been a part of the 2019 championship, but he was the main part of the deal that sent Kawhi to Toronto, which led to the championship. Also, he loved it in Toronto, and at that point was the only star in Raptors history who wanted to stay when he got traded. Overall, DeRozan will always be loved by Toronto, and I think he is the 3rd best Raptors player of all time. Number 2 on the list is Vince Carter, who spent 7 years with Toronto. His career stats with the Raptors are 403 games played, 23 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. With the Raptors, he had 5 All-Star teams, 2 All-NBA selections, and 1 Rookie of the Year. He's the leader in career points per game for the Raptors, so played more than 1 season, and is 4th in total points. Vince Carter brought them to the playoffs 3 times and was the main factor of their only postseason victory before the 2016 season, when the Raptors beat the Knicks in 2001. He was the first superstar to popularize basketball in Canada. Vince inspired people throughout Canada with his amazing dunks to play basketball, and several of them have gone on to play in the NBA, like Shea and Wiggins. Overall, Vince Carter brought basketball to Canada and is the reason that so many Canadians are playing basketball now. So I think VC deserves to be the 2nd greatest Raptor of all time. To round out our list, at our number 1 spot is Kyle Lowry, who spent 9 years with Toronto, was a 6-time All-Star, 2019 champ, and 2016 All-NBA player. His Toronto stats were 505 games played, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 1.5 steals per game on 42% from the field and 37% from 3. Kyle Lowry is the greatest Raptors player ever in Raptors history, as he played 9 years for them and was a main part of their only championship. He's the franchise all-time leader in three-point field goals, total assists, total steals, win shares, second in total points, games played, and triple-doubles. He was a main option in many playoff runs in the mid-2010s and was the second option on the 2019 championship team. Overall, as one of the main parts of the Raptors' greatest moments and having so many franchise records, Lowry is undoubtedly the best Raptor of all time. Thank you guys for listening, and comment down below if you agree with my picks.